Please start, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, one and all. Today, I welcome you in the afternoon session of day 18th of this very training. Today, we have with us Professor Farooq Aga, and I welcome you, sir, and thank you so very much, sir, for accepting our request. Now, I would like to formally introduce him. Professor Farooq has a 30 years of experience in research, extension, academics in agronomy besides an administrative capability. He has guided dozens of PhD and MSc students in SCOST, Jammu. He is the author of two books and has published about 100 papers in reputed journal of India and abroad. He is the editor of two journals and is prolific writer for daily papers. He is a dynamic orator and has organized many university functions like state Kisan Melas, Goshtis, etc. He is also a renowned broadcaster and anchor of agriculture programs on Akashwani and Doordarshan Kendra, Srinagar. Dr. Farooq is retired as Associate Director, Information and Publication. He is known as Best Extension Expert and Resource Person of SCOST with a vast popularity among students and farmers of the valley. Dr. Farooq, now I will request you, sir, to please deliver your lecture, sir. I'll share the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. But it is not Squash Jammu, it is Squash Kashmir because Squash has two. You have interpreted
Right,
Squash
sir.
Jammu. Some of my colleagues may be feeling that he might have changed the establishment. So, okay, I welcome you all, my dear friends, in this second session of the training. And I was waiting eagerly for you, but due to certain these technical problems, I could not directly meet you. So it took me 2 or 3, 4 minutes to get linked with my these colleagues and friends. I pray for your best future and best health, and wish that you will definitely serve your farmers with your zeal and zest. So far as the topic is concerned, I have been assigned the topic forage resource development for sustainable livestock production. As all of you know, that agriculture and animal husbandry in India are interwoven. They are connected. They are dependent on each other. With the intricate fabric of society in cultural, religious, economical ways as mixed farming and livestock rearing farms is an integral part of our rural living. So I'm thankful to the coordinators, to the directors. They have assigned me this topic, and I will try to do justice with this topic with your cooperation and collaboration. As you know, the health and productivity of livestock are closely linked with quantum and quality of forage production. The more the forages, the more the fodders, the more the concentrates, you will get more production in terms of milk, in terms of meat, in terms of wool and other things. So, next, ma'am. So, with the increase in human, next, with the increase in human and livestock population, the accessibility to adequate quantity of forage crop residues and concentrates is diminishing as per the records available with me because of certain things. Number one, the fraction of cultivated land is under fodders. Human beings have been so greedy that they are only cultivating most of their staple crops, cash crops, fruit crops, and other things, and leaving these animals as such and keeping a very less quantity as per the statistics available with me, only 5% of the total land available here is under the cultivation of these forests. And the second thing, the grazing land, natural grazing lands, they are degrading because of the greedy nature of the human beings, and not only degrading but also shrinking to greater extent because of the increasing population pressure and urbanization along with industrialization. So the basic resources available for the development of these cattle in terms of their nutrition, they are a bit diminishing, and we are not paying too much of attention towards it. And that has led a big gap between the demand and the supply. The requirement of green and dry fodder for the country livestock population of over more than mm, more than 53 one this stat speaks more than 53 833 million these livestock as per the census recorded by this Ministry of Agriculture, that you will come to know later on, and that this gap is to be bridged by the veterinary scientists, veterinary students, or the development department, these workers, so that we may not feel any sort of problem in future in getting this uh, production or this sustainable production what which is required there. Next, ma'am. So far as the livestock population, as I was telling you just now, so next, ma'am, table, next, this one. The livestock population in India by species, that is cattle, adult female cattle, buffalo, bovines, sheep, goat, horses, ponies, camels, pigs, etc., etc. This amounts total bovines 299.6 million as per the latest statistics report available. And if we can now think that the requirement of this green and dry fodder for the country's livestock population of over 2.66 million is concerned, this is a very difficult task for the farmers, for the scientists, and for the workers who are associated with this profession. And so far, the animal nutrition or these livestock, they are concerned, they are only depending on the forced subsistence. Their forced subsistence is on straw, whatever it is left in the field after harvesting the crops, dry stalks, stubbles, sparse vegetation from wastelands or common village lands, or sometimes in that area like Kashmir, where the fruit and vegetable wastes, most of the fruits like apple are wasted, and we are planning here to make a pomace of that for this these cattle, so that we can manage their this feeding easily. And so far as this stressed need of these animals is concerned, availability of quality forage seeds is must. Until we will not have very good this seed material, whether it is uh, of different, I will mention that in further on coming the next slide. So the breeders in the agriculture, they have to develop the seed and make it available to the farmers, so that when the input is available with the farmer in the form of seed, he can manage some part of his land to develop into the grass field, into the forage field. And second thing, the development of natural vast track water bodies or waterlands. Because nowadays there is a trend, or it was going on, but in Jammu and Kashmir you can see there are huge water bodies like Dal is there, Wolar is there, Achar is there, and many other lakes are there. And the aquaponic forages there growing naturally, they are being fed to the cattle to get very good this income out of their milk and out of their meat. So the development of this, next ma'am, development of these water bodies, they are must, because we are losing a lot and there will be an imbalance in the in this diversity of the concerned state. So need is there that we should develop these, and introduction of suitable forage crops in traditional food based cropping system. I may say that most of the farmers were shifting toward, they were cultivating maize or they were cultivating oats. Now there is a lot of change. They are going towards the veg, common veg. They are cultivating basim, and they are cultivating many other these natural perennial grasses like orchard grass, Bermuda grass, and other things there also. So the suitable forage crop, traditional forage crop needs a change, and our farmers should be aware of the materials and the inputs available before them, so that they can manage or they can try these grasses, these perennial grasses and others, for the development of their these livestock. And the third thing, a person has to think, that is the nutrient management of these forage crops. Normally, the farmers are leaving these forage crops as such on their natural this feeding behavior. But if we will go towards the intensive culture of these forage crops throughout our land, which is kept for this forage, we will go for proper fertilizer schedule, we will go for proper irrigation, or the cutting management will be properly managed with secondary dose of foliar application or anything else. So that may lead a boost in the forage production. And third thing is exploration of non-traditional resources like mangroves, lake, and seaweeds. These are also, many of the companies are working on these issues. From the seed, they are getting the seaweeds in the form of pellets and other nutrients for these animals, and as well as for the plants also. So exploration of these things is very important for our farmers. And in addition to that, next ma'am, to improve existing fodder species for better adaptability, higher productivity, and best quality. That means we should not go for random cultivation of these forage crops. As I will quote one of the example, say Barsim is there. For Barsim, especially at the time of sowing, we need ample of water. And once the water will be available there, we can go for a successful cultivation of Barsim crop and we can take many cuts out of this. So, an extension worker or a scientist or a man from forage, he has to chalk out a program, he has to aware the farmers about the adaptability of the different forage crops for different localities. And second thing, the higher productivity if the breeders will develop some of the varieties among the existing varieties and change it into a hybrid type, or the density, the planting geometry, the agronomical practices, the sowing density, and other things, or the cutting management, they may properly be handled so that we may get better production out of these forage crops. And the third one, which is necessary, that is, we should have best quality these forage crops, which have balanced nutrients and where our farmers can engage their cattle or the grazing land valuable या घास चराई जिसको बोलते हैं, which is not now, especially here in J&K, the forest area and घास चराई has gone. So because these forages play an important role in the food resources by supplying feed to livestock, and automatically in turn the livestock, mm, they produce milk, they produce meat, they produce wool, etc., which definitely increases the income of the farmers. I have come to know while visiting many parts of the J&K, especially near these bottom of the hilly areas. Kashmir has a lot of these hilly areas and forest areas where younger people are giving full attention in keeping the sheep farms, and they are sometimes migrating during winter to other places only because of this grazing facility, and so that they can get very good income with least involvement of money. So this is the background by which I may now start my this main part of this lecture. So far as the forage and grasses are concerned. Next, ma'am. There are different types, rather categories, by which we can get forage and fodder for these cattle. And among them, the most of the grasses are natural growing in natural grazing lands or pasturai areas. And among those, their scientists also need a very good effort in order to pin the bubble, to go for the deeper research towards these natural grasses, so that these natural grasses can be cultivated at their own these wastelands or other places where they may have the piece of land or the village land they may have. Among these grasses, there is bahia grass or Osmalum notatum, Bermuda grass, one of the important grasses growing naturally, साइनोडॉन डेफ्टेलान, ब्रूम ग्रास, जाड़ू वाला जिसको हम बोलते हैं, तो ब्रोमिकस inermis, gonia grass, Italian ryegrass, similarly Napier grass, orchard grass, and ryegrass. Here in J&K, I will quote one example. Most of the orchardists from Shupaya area, they have intensely grown these orchard grasses there in their fruit gardens. Number one, for conserving moisture for their orchards, and number second, getting some additional income out of growing these grasses for the cattle, and they are taking 2 3 cuts out of this. And besides that, we have certain these grasses which we can go for cultivation, and we have also tried in our university, and most of the farmers are not yet going for the intensive cultivation of these grasses, that is tall fesco or reed canary grass. Very good two grasses which can occupy a very good place mm, among the farmers, so that they may harvest a lot of this benefits or the lot of these livestock can be reared on these grasses if they will go for this. And besides that, there are certain leguminous crops like alfalfa is there, common vetch is there, red clover is there, stylo is there, canary grass is there. Many other number of leguminous crops are there where the people can manage these crops, or they can take different cuts out of certain these grasses, so that they can feed their cattle a very good nutritious this diet for the development and for the sustainability of this livestock. As you know, livestock and the sustainability, these are the very two important things. If our ancestors have developed their own vision that they were having, or they were planning their milk meat out of poultry, out of sheep, and other things at their own places, residences, but this should continue for the future generation. And that is only possible when we can plan the feeding management, or we can plan the feeds and forages for our cattle. And then it is possible that we can manage the sustainability of the animal production, sustainability of the milk production, and we can definitely surpass the white revolution throughout India. Next, ma'am. And this fodder resource management in India, as per 19th, next ma'am, as per 19th livestock census, India has 512.05 million livestock. At the initiation of my lecture, the figure I have given, that was the livestock is a broad term. It includes many of these animals like cows, buffaloes, other things. I have given a fraction of the milking these animals there. Here I am presenting, you should not be confused. Here I am presenting the total this population, that is 512 million livestock population, of which 190.9 million of cattle are there, and 108.70 million buffaloes are there, and 135.173 million goats, which are, I think, coming at number one. Uh, million goats and 65.1 million sheep population is there. So this vast spectrum of the domesticated livestock before we people is a big challenge. And one of the notable characteristics of this livestock feeding management or feeding system in India is that almost two-thirds of feed requirement is met from crop residues. There is no doubt in that. And total available cultivated land is only 152.7 million hectares, whereas net sown area is around 141.2 million hectares as per the agricultural stats of 2012 and 13. And at national level, out of 574 million tons of dry matter available, only 62.5% is accounted by crop residues, as a report was published by Raju 2011. And land allocation to the cultivation of green these crops is limited, and it is hardly 5% of the total cultivation of the land. So we have to manage the certain things. And as per the data available, fodder production and its utilization depends on four things. Number one, the cropping pattern of the area. Are they going for double cropping? Are they going for single cropping, three croppings, or intercroppings, or any other thing? Number second, the climate of the particular area. As you know, we could not in Jammu and Kashmir, we could not go for any other forage crop in winter except barsim and oats, because the climatic conditions are not suitable for others. And when we go out of the state, there is possibility of other crops also in winter days also, because of the climatic requirement and climatic conditions of the particular area. And similarly, the socio-economic conditions and type of livestock they are rearing. So the people who are concerned with sheep, the people who are concerned with these cows, buffaloes, camels, etc., this depends upon the food requirement of these livestock animals, depends upon their personal behavior. As you know, the cattle and buffaloes are normally fed on the fodder available from cultivated areas. As you know, tractors, many tractors are moving here and there from one field to another field, or from one place to another place, carrying these green forage these for the different areas, and this supplemented to some small extent by harvested grasses and top feeds. There is a tradition in many hilly areas that once they go for the cultivation of any crop, the bunds having different types of naturally growing these grasses are there. They cut it, they dry it, and make the hay of that grass. And automatically, during the winter conditions or very harsh conditions, they fed their animals with that hay or dehydrated grass. And similarly, the grazing and harvested grasses are chief fodder sources of equines. And while camel usually subsists on top feeds of plants or jadis, wahan jitni bhi ho, either browsed or lopped from the shrubs and trees. So the requirement is automatically different for different animals. The three major sources of fodder supply are crop residues, number one, cultivated fodder, number two, next ma'am, and fodder from common property resources like forests and permanent pastures and grazing land. And the demand and supply scenario in India, this has a great, this vast difference. Next, ma'am, as you know, India currently is facing mass shortfall of around 64%. Some data before me is having that 54%. I don't know which one is correct, but overall, this is the latest report that 64% feeds we are having a shortfall of this. And among this, 61.1% green fodder, because we are going for intensive cultivation of vegetables and other crops which are bringing us lot of money, and we are dividing these animals out of their this natural resources. And 21.9% dry crop residues, whatever is left there, or if you will go for cultivation of rice, or you will go for cultivation of this maize, or cultivation of even this wheat. So the dry residues left there are being fed by are fed to these animals for the sustenance of their life. And most of the studies estimated the gap between feed availability and the requirement based on nutritional requirement of livestock. Among those, these are the different scientists who have conducted their research, and they have given different requirements, and these papers you can get available from different journals and see that my aim intention is that there is definitely a big gap between the demand and supply, as the research has been conducted by many universities and research next ma'am, and the next reports available are with us from different sources, and the government of India has given a projection of these forage crops or the availability of these forests. And there is at glance you can check from 1995 there was a deficit percent of 59.9% in green fodders and 19.95 in dry fodders. That has taken a great jump, that this deficit percent from 59.95 in 1995, and the projection made by our policymakers, by our scientists, is that in 2025 this deficit may increase to 64.8% from 59.94%. That means there will be again a deficit of green fodders by 5%, and similarly, there will be a deficit of dry fodders by 5%, because in 1995 it was 19.9, and the projection for 2025 is 24.9%. So these things give us a notion, they give us an idea that in order to flourish our livestock industry, on which the human life is also concerned through many ways, I don't go in the details of that, we have to think seriously that if we can manage their sustenance on sustainable basis, so definitely we have to seriously think over this. As you know, the diminishing attitude of the land under these forage crops is also increasing, because most of the cultivated land has gone under different factories, under houses, under orchards, and other many other things, shopping malls and other things. and we have left very less. As indicated, I suspect that, as I have told you, that 5% is available, but I suspect less than 5% will be there when we are reading the reports, when by in these our own observations we are watching the activities of the farmers and the land availability resources which are diminishing, and side by side the other inputs required for this are, besides soil, that is water, and the microflora within the soil. As you know, most of our farmers, this is a challenge, rather a notion to you where we live. In rural areas, we are getting a liter of milk against 35, 40 rupees. And in the same area, I am especially talking of Jannati Benazir, Kashmir, where our water was called as Amrit. And here in J&K, Kashmir, one bottle of water at least costs 30 rupees. That is the cost of water and the cost of milk, it comes same. So there should be a mindset to manage our land, to manage our resources, and to conserve the resources in such a way that our future generation may not hamper, or they may not face some difficulties. Then the water, which is the most important input for agriculture, for human being, and for livestock, we may not feel shortage of that. And besides that, the microflora, or the different types of microorganisms present in the soil, they have also been by the harsh this use of chemicals and other things. They have also gone below the normal population, and now different companies are coming to inject our soils with those microorganisms. Nowadays we are not in a position to put some this soil on our this injury. If there a farmer was being injured in his field, the first aid there was that he was putting some of the soil on the wound there, and the blood was coagulating there. That reaction was because of the available resources of the microorganisms, which are yet most of the microorganisms are untapped within the soil. But nowadays you cannot find that thing, and that leads to hidden hunger among animals when our micronutrients, microorganisms, and other things are being lost by soil. Our soils are sick, our water resources are diminishing, and our underground water level is going down. And the scientists are not still very serious what is going on in future, and this has resulted in many disease among the livestock, among the deficiency symptoms also, diseases also, lifespan also varies, and that too in turn in human being. And this hidden hunger perpetuates, and it will perpetuate until we will not give full attention towards the animals who provide farmyard manure, who have the organic sources there to add to our soil, and we can feed them also with very good grass and other things which may not lead the hidden hunger among our farmers. Next, ma'am. So, based again on these 19th livestock census and feed requirement rates, for different species, a total feed requirement in terms of 883.9 million tons of green fodder and 582.6 million tons of dry fodder and 57.6 metric tons of concentrates These, this is the fundamental requirement for the livestock we are having or we are developing. And the calculated feed requirement revealed that percentage feed requirement is high in bovines, as it requires half, almost 52.7 of the green fodder and 65% of dry fodder. So, bovine animals, whether our Indian farmers are in rural areas or they are from high-fi societies, at least they are having these bovine animals which require lot of this forage as per the data I have given to you. And of the total feed required by the cattle or milking cows accounted for around 20.3% of the grain fodder and 15% of dry fodder. So the government the government authorities, the policy makers, the bureaucrats, and the representative of the farmers, along with scientists from the agriculture universities, from the veterinary universities, they should follow certain things, and certain policies are there for strengthening the fodder resources in India. And for that very purpose, we have a national fodder policy very old. And now the time is changing. The requirements are changing. The world is moving on very fast speed. The digital life has changed the whole environment of human beings as well as others. So, there should be a refinement in the national fodder policy of India, and the policymakers should go through that and make some amendments so that we may not face a difficulty in our future. Similarly, establishment of silvopasture systems in the biomass production. Because one thing I have forgot, that besides these cultivated fodders or natural, these natural forage or legumes or anything other, certain trees and bushes are also important, and loppings of those are very much essential for getting the biomass. And that is only possible if we can establish silvopasture systems around our villages or the piece of land we are having. We can meet some scientists, we can meet some worker of the development department who can guide him that how to develop a silvopasture system for the fodder requirement or the biomass production, so that their animals may not feel any problem. And the third thing which needs a very serious attention, that is the National Grazing Cum Fodder and Pasture Management Policy 2013. Now, the behavior of human beings, the industrialization process, the digitalization, these all things have changed the total Indian scenario in different ways. And if we have made a national grazing cum fodder pasture management policy in 2013, this is 2021. Lot of things have changed up to this time. So this also needs a revision, that the grazing land or the forest lands which were for nomads for grazing purpose of their sheep and cattle and other things, those may be maintained in a proper way and in a rational way, so that they may not feel any difficulty in grazing and in getting the better yields. And the third thing, that is hydroponics. The green fodder growing in our lakes, in our ponds, which in turn sometimes create certain problems for these water bodies. But the people living within the vicinity of these water bodies are utilizing these green fodders better for their this milking cow, especially in Kashmir, I'm talking. And so we have to also develop a sense for maintaining a balance there for these hydroponics, and or commercially we can go for cultivation of azolla in our own these compounds, और हमारे आंगन में पार्क में अगर हम थोड़ा सा एक pond बनाएं छोटा सा, and we can introduce there not only in angan, in terraces, if we can develop a tub type of this azolla culture, which is a very good feed for these animals, and we can harvest it nicely at our home in a better way. But the need of awareness how to develop the hydroponics is the need of the day. And also the administrative and research strategies. Change, ma'am. Administrative and research strategies for strengthening existing fodder resources in India. There are many things which are yet untapped, which are only known to the rural people. IT के जिसको हम बोलते हैं, if some farmer has some knowledge that this plant is a good source of biomass or fodder for our animals, we should appreciate, we should get knowledge out of him, and we should try to refine that knowledge in a nice way so that the ITK, indigenous technology of the farmers, may flourish, and also the scientists may get a better feedback for new crops and for new forage crops and fodders, are the way they are keeping these fodders during surplus days and then utilizing it during these harsh days, those fodders. We have to keep a record of that. And similarly, the policy should be such that there should be mapping of ecologically sensitive pastures. And the pastures should be seeded by aeroplanes, because most of the pastures, especially alpine areas, are the pastures surrounding the Himalayas. The human interference is very less there for cultivation. The government should adopt a policy that the seeds for these pastures should be broadcasted through helicopters or others. Otherwise, we are only dependent for wild animals who take something from the urban area or rural area, and then with the fecal matter they are going to add there. Some grasses may grow there, but this should be intensified in a nice way and in a proper way. So, next, ma'am, so far as the extension points are related for strengthening the fodder resources, we should try to go for intensive cultivation of leguminous fodders like lucerne, which can provide a quality green at low cost and high yield in small areas. Because this lucerne is a very age old crop, and the farmers are better knowing the cultivation of this crop. And the scientists have also intervened because there was less time. for the lecture. Otherwise, I would have given the developments in the mm, releasing of certain varieties, newer varieties for most of these forage crops. So they should provide these facilities to the farmers, the seed for them, so that they can get a very nutritious this forage for the animals. And though the average green fodder yield of lucerne varied from 80 to 120 tons per hectare per year, but once we will go for intensive cultivation with all the modern weapons, with all the records, we may increase this to 150 to 200 tons per hectare per year, because certain crops have the capacity to increase the biomass, to increase the organic matter we require. And this lucerne is one among those. Hence, we have to sensitize the farmers on intensive cultivation of these crops like lucerne or berseem or oats or many other crops. Second thing, that intensive cultivation of fodder trees, that is also a key technology to get greens throughout the year. I may quote an example of Sesbenia arendifora, sort of kicker. So that those kicker or Sesbenia, this is local name of this plant. The These Sesbania plants are randomly or naturally growing in certain areas of our villages. If there will be an effort will be made by the extension persons that the wasteland available around the villages may be planted 3 feet into 3 feet, this Sesbania kicker plants, they may be provided with the saplings of these plants, and definitely they will add to the farmers for getting the biomass throughout the year, and that is also very delicious for these cattle and other things. Further, this fodder has fed to lactating crossbred cows under study at 5 kg fresh forage per day per cow, and an overall increase of 11.97% was observed by different scientists like Pramila and 2014. So, in short, I may say that we are giving our full attention towards the technologies. But the basic requirement for the human being, that is roti, kapda, and makan. So, roti includes many other things, and there is a great part of these animals in feeding the human beings, plus in maintaining the soil in that condition in which we have received it from the ancestors, and also the other resources we are getting from these animals, those cannot be got by the other ways or the other things. So, besides the rocket technology, we need a simple and basic technology for the farmers to feed these livestock in a proper way, so that the production of these livestock may sustain for a pretty long time. With these words, I take leave of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Gauri ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I guess we are having a few questions.
No problem.
So one has asked, concentrate feed production units and quantum of concentrate feed production also increased as far as southern part of India towards larger animal production. I guess he has given the view.
Yes, he's right. I have given a small mention of this that ये जो southern part है or the coastal area, most of the industrialists are utilizing their man forest in extracting the seaweeds from the sea, and a big chunk of this concentrates or pellets are being made by different companies who have gone to any extent in earning of this money, because the cost of these seaweeds is not so much, but the manufacturing cost added to it and the benefit is received not only in animals, fish also, even in the poultry also. So my friend is correct that the concentrates have increased, but in certain areas. And the transportation cost of these concentrates for other states where the basic resources are not available becomes a difficult thing and a costly one.
The another one has asked, low quantity and quality fiber diet to large animal attracts new disease like eugenal hemorrhagic syndrome, that is bovine and enterotoxemia. What about in northern parts?
Definitely. Definitely, there not only that, one of my friends here also have written a question that hay and this, the answer is same. I may collaborate both the things. Hay and silage is also not potential in terms of nutrients there. That is there. But there are certain things, मैं आपको ऐसे बोलूं, एग्जाम्पल दे दूं, थोड़ा आप टोन भी हो जाएंगे. If I feel thirsty, I will search first water bottle, mineral water bottle. If that will not be available, then I will try for a tap. If that will also not be available, then I will go to a stream or anything else because I have to meet my requirement of water. Okay. So similarly, India is a diversified country. We have many regions with many climatic, linguistic, economic, many things, social, that I don't want to go there. And where there is a lean and lash period for these forage. Some states are having round the year forage, green forage. And some states where there is snowfall or the climate is not suiting, they are doing the question, what my dear friend has put me, they are going for hay making or silage making, or now pomace is there, this apple जो गिरते हैं. So now वो भी नहीं रहा, क्योंकि अब तो वो कंपनी वाले आते हैं, उसको भी जूस निकालते हैं, तो गाय के लिए क्या रहेगा. तो मैम, in order to, there are certain problems, surely there are certain chances of these diseases also there, but anything, whatever technology is there, that needs refinement. I may quote one simple example we all are, I think, might have witnessed it. Once upon a time, we were burning lalteen for light purpose. फिर गैस आया मिट्टी के तेल पे, फिर उसके बाद लंप आया, लंप के बाद फिर वो सेवर आया, सेवर के बाद आज वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, लंप की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, ये सोलर आया. तो टेक्नोलॉजी इज चेंजिंग. It is not there. We were making hay that was creating some problem, or silage that was creating some problem. We have to go for research. If these problems are there, in research council meetings, you have to feed back the authorities, you have to feed back the scientists that this is the problem there. It needs a refinement there. It needs again research. This is not, nothing is final except God. Nothing. We are still students. We are thinking still the newer things. And there is yet, as Newton has told, when he was at 80 years old, he told that I am yet a child playing with pebbles on the seashore. Yet there is a big sea before me to cross. So, similarly, we should not be confined to the research that we have made, or somebody has made, or Dr. Aga has made uh, something. No, tomorrow my student can refine it also. Tomorrow my student can change my version also. So there is no limit for that. These problems are there. I accept and I affirm this thing, but need certain research backup to clear the things what are there.
Very well addressed, sir. Sir, next question is cost of 1 liter milk and 1 kg mutton in Kashmir.
Hmm. आई एम वेरी मच फेड अप। मैंने कहा मैं आपको एक शेयर एक बात करूंगा, वैसे करनी नहीं चाहिए थी, बट आई विल नॉट नेम द डायनास्टी। प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे यहाँ के। वंस अपॉन ए टाइम देयर इज ए स्प्रिंग इन चश्मा शाही, यू माइट हैव हर्ड on the Dal beach. A chopper was coming for taking water, mineral water, because that water is coming out of rocks. But nowadays, whenever you will get a chance to visit the Dal, that water that time was called as Amrit. If you will put your finger or feet into the Dal, maybe possible you might have to take some anti-allergic tablet there, because we have devastated our environment. It is not now Jannat Kashmir. There is effluent, there is pesticide concentration in water, in many other things, what I don't want to address here, because this is some other forum. So that Kashmir, hilly state of India, which was feeding on natural things like this milk you were telling, this meat. 1 kg of meat in Kashmir this time cost 600 rupees, and 1 kg of milk in city this time cost is 42 to 45. Some people 42. I am receiving at the rate of
Oh,
40 myself. So the water I was talking of, I was not comparing meat and milk. The water this time in marriage functions at domestic level, that water bottle this time cost is around about 30 to 40 rupees. That means milk and water are at the same time, at the same rate. This we have changed the system. It is why many things which are yet hidden, which are not known to we people until we will not go for some test, ultrasound or any other CT or many things are there. The human being has no role there, but the thing he is eating, that he is not thinking where from it comes and what nutrients this thing gives to me, or what other problems I am getting out of this. So nature has provided us everything. आयुष इस वक्त आयुष की तरफ हम ध्यान दे रहे हैं. That's very good, because nature has provided us everything. For these cows, I may quote an example. Some of my colleague or student might have joined this. When there was foot rot in these cattle in J&K. The natural remedy for that was walnut dehaling, जो हल होता है walnut का ना, ऊपर से वो ग्रीन ग्रीन, तो that dehaled walnut was crushed without this gari, तो उसको वो डालते थे ऐसे इनमें, एंड दिस फुट रॉट वाज एग्जैक्टली यही मैं अभी बोल रहा था ना, मैंने जस्ट आई हैव गिवन सर्टेन नोशंस फॉर माय यंगस्टर्स देयर कि देयर आर स्टिल मैनी थिंग्स वेयर यू कैन गो फॉर वेरी गुड रिसर्च। तो आईटी की जो आई इंडिजिनियस नॉलेज जो है, अगर हम उसको रिफाइन करें कि अगर ये है इसमें फुट एंड रॉट, और वन ऑफ आवर साइंटिस्ट्स हैज आल्सो गॉट पेटेंट फॉर दैट, एनिमल का ही है, तो many things can come out of this. We are imitating the foreigners. किसी ने कुछ पेपर लिखा, मैंने उसका सहारा लिया, यार खुद का करो, अपने जो देशवासी हैं उनसे फीडबैक ले लो, उसको रिफाइनमेंट करो, एंड यू विल सी द मिरेकल्स देयर। एज कोविड में तुलसी काम आई, अदरक काम आया, द थिंग्स वी फॉरगॉट सो फार बिकॉज ऑफ मॉडर्निटी। हम बर्गर खाते हैं, हम वो करते हैं, ये करते हैं, नहीं, जमीन गोल है। विल रीच अगेन टू दोज रिसोर्सेज व्हाट द गॉड हैज प्रोवाइडेड फॉर दिस ह्यूमन, दिस रेस, एंड वी विल डेफिनेटली बी benefited. Anything more, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Sir, one participant has asked your opinion on dry silage.
Dry silage is not dry. Hay is dry. Silage is semi-dry. I was working in the cattle farm. Many things were there, and I was that time manager. We were preparing the silage there. We were preparing the silage there in a way that once the layers we were keeping off semi, मतलब when we were harvesting the green fodder, थोड़ा उसको हम एक दिन के लिए सन में रखते थे, then when the layers were being piled there and जो कुछ उस पे डालते थे मटेरियल, तो ये मेरी एक्सपीरियंस जाती है, इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरी दैट दिस विल बी टू, तो कुछ ऊपर वाली लेयर्स में उतनी ग्रीननेस नहीं हुआ करती थी, और थोड़ा जो अरोमा उसका होता था दैट वाज अ बिट, जो एनिमल्स थे उतना प्रेफर नहीं करते थे, क्योंकि ये एक किस्म का अचार बनता है वहाँ, साइलेज मीन्स ए सॉर्ट ऑफ अचार, पिकल। तो जो बीच वाली ये लेयर्स थे या लास्ट ग्राउंड वाली लेयर थे, तो उसमें लगभग 80%, 70 to 80% ग्रीननेस रहती थी, एंड द एनिमल्स वर लाइकिंग टू टेक दैट साइलेज।
Okay, thank you, sir. So one has asked that why silage and hay is not popular till date at farmers level.
Number one, to me, personal view. Number one, most of the farmers are not having excess forages to make this thing. Now, regarding hay, during this last period, most of the farmers, they harvest certain weeds which are edible for animal, or they clear their bunds to get these grasses, soft grasses, and then they keep it in sun. Those are popular in hilly areas, one thing. Second thing, in most of the India, also in one state where there is abundance of oats or any other this forage or fodder, they definitely go for hay making, and they are transporting that to other states also. So hay is a popular thing still yet, but Silage is a bit difficult for certain areas because that needs some input in terms of money. He needs a shed there, he needs a pit there. That is a bit labor consuming also, and that is not possible that we can transport that to other states also. So that is, I think, पर्सनल लेवल पे ठीक है बट पॉपुलैरिटी उतनी नहीं है. He is very easy thing. He is popular. Whenever you will visit from Madhya Pradesh to Kashmir or Kashmir to Kanyakumari, at least among 10 trucks you may see one truck hay there. So that is there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, one person has asked, what is the benefit of Napier grass as green fodder?
Lot of benefits. See, ma'am, even we will categorize these grasses into leguminous and non-leguminous things. Leguminous have, अगर इनका जो न्यूट्रेंट टीडीएन है, बाकी चीजें हैं, फाइबर है और कुछ है, उसमें से जो नाइट्रोजन कंटेंट इसका होता है वो ज्यादा होता है. दैट एड्स टू द प्रोटीन कंटेंट आल्सो. नंबर 2, द लस्ट of eating these leguminous crops is more in cattle than non-leguminous crops, whether they may be dry, dehydrated, or they may be greener. So second thing, it adds to our soil that this manufactures the atmospheric nitrogen gets trapped somewhere in these leguminous grasses, and that adds to our soil also. And besides that, the biggest thing is that they are very nutritious compared to non-leguminous.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, Dr. Kishan Kumar has asked, what is natural grazing land pattern in hilly region?
There was a definite pattern because most of my knowledge here regarding these grassy land is regarding J&K, and data also I have for J&K. One thing was lapse there, that repeated grazing in certain grazing areas, that causes a biggest problem for the farmers or for the shepherds or for the nomadic people, because they are not giving a chance for the seasonal grasses there to grow. जब रेवड़ होते हैं बड़े बड़े, जब वो ग्रेजिंग एरिया में जाते हैं, फिर दूसरे दिन दूसरा नोमैड ग्रुप आया या कोई रूरल ग्रुप आया, तो एक तो जो हाइट है ग्रास की वो बहुत कम हो जाती है बिकॉज दे आर क्लिपिंग. सेकंड थिंग, जो क्लैंपिंग होती है, इस पे ट्रेडिंग होती है, most of the plants get damaged also, and all these grazing areas depend on nature for this irrigation purpose and for the addition of nutrients also. So repeated grazing should be banned. There should be a pattern of alternate grazing, and the different areas should be located for grazing purposes in phase manners, in beat wise areas. Then we can manage this in a nice way. Otherwise, the random things, government is also allowing the people. Nomads are also going. One who reaches earlier, he harvests many things and keeps nothing for others. So there is, the gentleman is correct. But the pattern of grazing should be alternate, and there should not be overgrazing totally.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
So next question is, what is current availability and deficiency of fodder for livestock in Kashmir Valley?
Kashmir faces a lot of problems, especially in winter, in terms of green forests. Because right from now the climate has changed. We were having severe winter from 21st of December. Now the pattern of the weather has also changed. And sometimes we receive rains in November also, and even in last days of October also. So once there is snow, heavy snowfall, number one, these cattle, it is not possible for a farmer to take them out to grazing land. One thing. Second thing, the agriculture farming system in J&K, especially in Kashmir, it is totally different. We are only having a very good सीजन राइट फ्रॉम मार्च भी मैं नहीं कहूँगा, मार्च में भी बहुत बारिशें होती है, बट माइथोलॉजिकली हम बोलते हैं मार्च, मगर प्रैक्टिकली इट इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल. तो अब हम मान लीजिए 15 मार्च से लेके 15 अक्टूबर तक तो अच्छी खासी ग्रीनरी होती है एंड वी कैन फीड आवर एनिमल्स इन अ नाइस वे. मगर once the winter comes, we are having lack of green these forests, and the people there, they only depend on two three things: either hay or the citra dry grass of rice, or some these leguminous crops like beans or other thing, bhusa uska jo hota hai. But mostly we are dependent on the other states to get the feed. बोरियों के वो ट्रक्स आती हैं यहाँ फीड की, तो एंड concentrates there. Mostly we are deficient during these 4 5 months. The green fodder is not available here, especially in Kashmir Valley.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Dr. Suresh Ramalingam has raised a query that which of the policy is most important to encourage livestock farming? Livestock products pricing policy or grazing land policy?
Both. I think
Okay.
both. Because once I will get some money as a farmer, I will give my full attention towards that. जो अभी मैंने आपको एग्जांपल क्रिएट की, ये बोली कि 1 लीटर दूध और 1 लीटर पानी में कितना अंतर है. जब वो बेचारा फॉडर लाएगा, कहीं से लाएगा, अपने फील्ड से लाएगा, उसमें लेबर लगेगा उसको, या अपने पैसों को बाहर से मंगवाएगा फीड या फॉडर, और रिटर्न उसको, नो डाउट वी हैव डेवलप्ड वेरी गुड ब्रीड्स जो 20 25 50 किलो तक भी दूध देते हैं, मगर जो उस पे इनकर कास्ट होता है वो भी कुछ कम नहीं होता है. तो until the price policy and the grazing policy will not be devised very strictly, ऐसे नहीं, अब नाम में नहीं लूंगा मैम, there are certain influential persons जिन्होंने बहुत हिली एरियाज में होटल बनाए where the grazing is not possible, recreational centers बनाए. Who has given them the permission? Government. So these things should be banned. बिकॉज ये एरिया इन बेचारों के लिए है जिन पे हमारी जिंदगी का निर्भर है. तो वही वी आर स्नैचिंग these rights from them. Why we are not allowing them to grow in a natural condition, in a natural way? So I think both the policies should be devised nicely and with the help of our animal scientists and agriculture scientists, because certain bureaucrats, they know only other things, but the concerned technology which is required for making the policy that can be only fed by a scientist, not them.
Sure, sir. So next question is how to manage soil mineral content in hilly and high rainfall areas.
This is a very good question, but very long. Ma'am, there are certain things which I may share with you. We are classifying the land in different ways. मोटे तरीके से मैं बोलूँगा एज पर द स्लोप. कहीं 1% स्लोप है, कहीं 2% है, कहीं 3% है, कहीं 4 है, कहीं प्लेन है. तो मैनेजमेंट ऑफ दीज मिनरल्स for such a varied type of geography is a bit difficult. Difficult is, but we can manage them. Because difficult in this way, if it will be high slope, slopey, so definitely runoff will be more. Most of the nutrients will be washed down. What happened in our dull? So there we should go for plantation of crops. Especially this silvi pastoral जो अभी मैं बात कर रहा था, तो if we will go for plantation of these crops, we can prevent the eroding of these minerals there. One thing. Second thing, if it is not possible, but we have to make a terrace system there, which many departments are coming for the help of the farmers also. And we have to go for physical application of these minerals there. Say, for example, ma'am, विटामिन डी मुझे लेना है. मैं धूप में नहीं बैठ सकता हूँ, मैं काला हो जाऊंगा या मैं चल नहीं सकता हूँ. नाउ आई एम डिपेंडेंट दैट आई हैव टू टेक द सप्लीमेंट ऑफ विटामिन डी, है ना. अगर नेचुरल वे में मैं धूप में 2-3 घंटे बैठता या चलता फिरता तो नेचुरल वे में आ जाता है. नहीं आएगा तो आई हैव टू टेक दिस सप्लीमेंट. तो सेम इज द केस हियर. If we have to prevent the natural minerals there, we have to go for different treatment is for terracing जो मैंने अभी बोला, in order to prevent the erosion. और अब जो अवेलेबल है, अगर उसको टेस्ट करके हमें लगा कि the minerals are not sufficient there, we have to go for the application of these minerals there surely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is acacia tree fodder is available at Himalayan
Yes,
hill? Okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. सेस्बेनिया, इसमें 2-4 वैरायटीज़ हैं. तो मुझे जीनस का नाम याद नहीं है. सेस्बेनिया है. सेस्बेनिया के बहुत से, और ये नेचुरल ग्रोइंग है. नाउ द गवर्नमेंट इज प्लानिंग इट इज नर्सरीज ओनली फॉर दिस थिंग बिकॉज इज अ वेरी गुड फॉडर क्रॉप. और यहाँ कश्मीर में एक मिथ है कि डल के जो जो डल में जो घास उगता है वो, और ये किकर का घास सस्बीनिया जिसको आप बोलते हैं, तो मान लीजिए अगर आप गाय को 1 किलो फीड कराएंगे, 1 किलो वो दूध देगी. मतलब इक्वल. ये यहाँ मिथ है, ये देयर इज नो साइंटिफिक बैकग्राउंड फॉर दिस. ये इंडिजिनस टेक्नोलॉजी है इनके पास. So it grows naturally. Now the government is planning to develop its nurseries, and they are providing those nurseries and then those plants. Even mulberry also. Mulberry is also a good. They are getting very good biomass out of mulberry trees also. जो हमारी सड़कें हैं, उसमें गवर्नमेंट अब लगाता है ये under this social forestry scheme, or one can have the fencing of the field by these plants so that he may get एक तो fencing हो जाएगी, दूसरी बात he can get fodder or this biomass for the cattle also.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Thank
one last
you.
question is in Ooty, Kikyu grass with white clover will have the same pattern as like Himalayan hills?
100%. I have visited OT.
Okay.
100%. Even the climate for certain these perennials. I myself visited that area. So I think it is more better than other areas of Himalaya. So very good.
Thank you so much, sir. We are done with our questions, queries. Thank you so much, sir, for the. It was really a very elaborative one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for
Thank you.
helping me and for providing me. I have yesterday requested director साहब कि ये मैं यहाँ अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी में भी या किसी भी फोरम में जाऊँ, मुझे वो तशनगी सी रहती है, प्यास सी रहती है कि जो मुझ में है, I will share with the things, and my lecture does not remain confined only to the technicality. मतलब ये मेरी पता नहीं क्या है ऊपर वाले का। मैंने सर से बोला था कि आज मैं जस्टिफाई नहीं करूंगा, मुझे वो टाइम दे दीजिए जहां मुझे टाइम ज़्यादा मिले। तो देन सुबह मुझे कंफ्यूजन हुआ था, somebody पुट अ मैसेज दैट यू हैव एट 11। मैंने कहा नहीं, कल डायरेक्टर साहब ने बोला आफ्टर लंच, क्योंकि मैंने ही टाइम उसको मांगा था ज़्यादा। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ऑल द
Thank you, sir.
participants, for the patient hearing, and for enjoying the lecture and enjoying the very detailed this question round. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's our pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
may leave now, sir, if you wish
Thank
to.
you.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
So tomorrow we will be having a lecture from Dr. Amandeep Singh, Assistant Professor at Guru Angad Dev Veterinary and Animal Sciences University, and from Suman Kumar Sahu sir. He will be delivering on the fish crop livestock production system. Thank you so much. Stay safe and happy Sunday. Okay. See you tomorrow.